This video is about she was bullied and the billionaire gave her the keys to his office. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. In the small town of Maple, where the leaves turned golden in autumn and snow blanketed the world in winter, Avery Lawson lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment with her single mother, who worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. Life was not easy for them, but they shared a bond that could weather any storm. Avery was a bright girl with dreams as big as the sky, but her school life was a stark contrast to her aspirations. Every morning was a battle as she walked through the crowded halls of Maplewood High. She was shy and awkward, her braces and glasses serving as a beacon for bullies. They whispered and laughed, their voices echoing in her mind long after the school day ended. The taunts stung like arrows, each word was a reminder of her isolation. Avery would often find refuge in a library, losing herself in the worlds of literature where her imagination soared free. One brisk September day, while she was tucked away in a corner with a book on entrepreneurship, she overheard 2 girls whispering about the upcoming annual fundraiser. "If we can just convince Mr. D and Gilo to donate, it'll be the best event ever." They giggled, their eyes sparkling with the thrill of possibility. Mr. D and Gilo was the town's billionaire, a self-made success who had turned his tech startup into an empire. Avery had heard stories of his generosity, how he had given back to the community in countless ways. Inspired, she felt a flicker of courage ignite within her. Perhaps reaching out to him could change things, not just for her but for the entire school. That night, she paced her bedroom, a flurry of emotions rushing through her. The idea of writing a letter to Mr. D and Gilo consumed her thoughts. What if he actually reads it? She whispered to herself, feeling the weight of doubt creeping in. But then she remembered the stories of great leaders who had started with nothing but a dream. With renewed determination, she sat at her cluttered desk, pen in hand, and began to write. "Dear Mr. D and Gilo," she started. "I am a student at Maplewood High, and I believe that we can make our community a better place. I would love to collaborate to create an event that brings us all together. Your support could make a difference." Days passed, and life continued as usual. Avery faced relentless bullying, the whispers grew louder, and the laughter echoed like a haunting melody. It was during one particularly tough day that she found herself sitting alone at lunch, tears threatening to spill. Just then, her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was an email notification. Shaking, she opened her email app, her heart racing. There it was, a response from Mr. D and Gilo. She could hardly believe her eyes. He had read her letter and wanted to meet. "I am impressed by your initiative, Avery," his email read. "Let us discuss your ideas. Come to my office next week." The days leading up to the meeting were a whirlwind of emotions. Avery felt the heavy cloak of doubt settling on her shoulders again, whispering that she would fail, that she wasn't worthy. However, her mother's unwavering support encouraged her to keep going. "You are stronger than you know, Avery. Believe in yourself," her mother would say, her eyes filled with warmth and pride. Finally, the day of the meeting arrived. Avery stood in front of the glass building that housed D and Gilo Enterprises, nerves swirling in her stomach. As she walked through the lobby, she marveled at the modern art and sleek architecture. The receptionist greeted her with a smile and directed her to the elevator. "Third floor, Mr. D and Gilo's office," she said. When the doors opened, Avery stepped out, her heart pounding. She approached the large wooden door labeled Samuel D and Gilo CEO. Taking a deep breath, she knocked softly. "Come in," the voice boomed from inside. As she entered, she was met with a warm smile from the man himself. Samuel D and Gilo was not what she had expected. He was approachable, with a genuine kindness in his eyes. "Avery, it is a pleasure to meet you," he said, gesturing for her to sit. "I read your letter. I was very impressed." Avery felt her cheeks flush, a mixture of pride and disbelief swirling within her. "Thank you, Mr. D and Gilo. I just wanted to make a positive impact on my school and community," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I admired that," he replied, leaning forward, intrigued. "Tell me more about your ideas for the fundraiser." As Avery spoke about her vision for a community fair, she gained momentum, her passion igniting the room. She suggested games, local vendors, and ways to engage families and students alike. Samuel listened intently, occasionally jotting down notes. "You have a bright future ahead, Avery," he said, his tone sincere. "I'd like to help you bring this event to life." With each word exchanged, Avery felt the weight of the world lifting. For the first time, she felt seen, heard, and valued. Samuel offered not just his resources, but also mentorship, encouraging her to embrace her leadership potential. They discussed logistics, and he shared insights from his own journey, emphasizing the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. Hours flew by, but when it was time to leave, Avery felt a blend of emotions swelling inside her: gratitude, excitement, and hope. As she walked out, he handed her a set of keys. "These are the keys to my office. Whenever you need guidance, come back and find me. You're not in this alone." Tears prickled at the corners of Avery's eyes. "Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. I can't believe this is happening," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Just remember, every great leader starts as a student," he replied, a twinkle in his eye. "Believe in yourself, Avery. The world needs more people like you." As she left the building, a sense of empowerment enveloped her. The bully's words began to fade, replaced by the belief that she could reshape her narrative. Avery had a mission now, one that stretched beyond her own struggles. She was determined to lift her community. The journey ahead would be challenging. Organizing the fundraiser would require perseverance, late nights, and facing her fears. But with the support of her mother and a newfound mentor, she felt ready to embrace the obstacles. She was not just a victim of bullying, she was a leader with purpose. Each day brought new tasks, and Avery learned to navigate the complexities of planning the event. She collaborated with local businesses, designed promotional materials, and even spoke to her classmates about getting involved. The kindness of strangers and the support of her community fueled her determination. The closer the event date approached, the more she felt the weight of expectation. Doubts began to creep back in. What if no one showed up? What if it was a disaster? Just when she felt overwhelmed, a message from Samuel appeared on her phone. "You've got this, Avery. Remember, every setback is a setup for a comeback." Those words resonated deep within her. Each challenge she faced became an opportunity to grow, learn, and inspire others. She started to see her own resilience reflected in the faces of those who rallied behind her. Friends from school, even some former bullies, began to step forward, wanting to help with the event. Avery knew that together they could create something beautiful. As the day of the community fair arrived, excitement buzzed in the air. Families gathered, laughter echoed, and hope flowed through the streets of Maplewood. Avery took a moment to absorb it all, her heart swelling with pride. This was more than just a fundraiser, it was a celebration of unity, kindness, and the beauty of the human spirit. And in that moment, she understood that her journey was just beginning. The keys to Mr. D'Angelo's office symbolized more than access to resources. They represented the doors she could open for herself and others. With unwavering resilience and a heart full of hope, Avery was ready to embrace her future, one step at a time. The fair had been a resounding success. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow on Maplewood, Avery felt a rush of emotions flood over her. There was laughter, joy, and an undeniable sense of community. But beneath the surface, as the crowds began to disperse, a familiar knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. "Hey, Avery," the voice called out. It was Mia, one of her classmates, who had been one of the first to join in the preparations for the fair. "You did amazing today. Seriously, this event was incredible." "Thanks, Mia," Avery replied, forcing a smile. But the truth was, while the event had been a success, she felt a lingering concern gnawing at her. "I just hope everyone felt included. I wanted it to be a day where everyone felt seen." "Trust me, they did. It is hard to ignore the joy on everyone's faces," Mia reassured her. "And you should be proud. You brought us all together." With those words, a flicker of warmth ignited inside Avery. Perhaps she did have the power to create positive change, even if it felt so daunting. But just as quickly, her mind clouded with doubt again. She knew that the fair was just one day. What about tomorrow? What about the long-term impact of her efforts? The evening air was cool as she gathered her things and bid farewell to the last few stragglers. Her mother arrived just in time, a proud smile stretched across her face. "You're a star, Avery. I am so proud of you," she said, wrapping her arms around her in a tight embrace. "Thanks, Mom. I just wish I could keep this going. You know, it can end here," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I understand," her mother replied, her eyes glistening with understanding. "But take a moment to celebrate today. You've worked so hard, and you brought hope to so many people." As they walked home together, the streets were awash in the remnants of joy. They passed families laughing, holding hands, and watching the last remnants of fireworks spark in the night sky. Avery couldn't help but smile, yet inside, a storm brewed. The idea of sustaining her vision felt overwhelming. The next few weeks were filled with bustling energy as the community buzzed about the fair. Avery spent countless hours reflecting on what had transpired, drafting ideas for future events, and dreaming of making the community bond a lasting one. But with every plan, the shadows of self-doubt followed her. She wondered if she could really keep this momentum going. One rainy afternoon, as she sat on her bed surrounded by notes, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Samuel D. Angelo. "Avery, let us meet. I'd love to hear how you're feeling post-fair." A flicker of excitement mingled with nerves. She had barely spoken to him since that day in his office. What wisdom could he share that would help her navigate this next chapter? Quickly, she responded, "Absolutely, thank you for reaching out." Later that week, she stepped into his office once more. The familiar space felt different this time, filled with both anticipation and trepidation. Samuel welcomed her with a warm smile. "I've been looking forward to this conversation. How are you?" "I am good, I guess. The fair was amazing, but I am worried about what's next," Avery admitted, squirming in her seat. "I want to keep the community engaged, but I don't know how." "Let us start by acknowledging what you've already accomplished. You brought people together, and that is a monumental step," he said, leaning back in his chair. "But sustaining that energy does require strategy and commitment. I want to create something that lasts. I want people to feel this sense of unity even after the fair," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But I am scared. What if I fail?" "Fear is a natural part of growth, Avery. The key is to embrace it, not let it paralyze you," Samuel encouraged. "What is your vision for this community moving forward? Let us break it down." Avery took a deep breath, her heart racing as she began to articulate her dreams. "I want to start a mentoring program where older students can support younger ones. It could help combat bullying and foster friendships." "Fantastic idea. How can I help you set it up?" he asked genuinely, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. "Let us create a plan, step by step." The conversation flowed seamlessly, ideas bouncing back and forth like a game of catch. Samuel's passion for philanthropy inspired Avery, and together they mapped out a framework for the mentoring program. As she left his office that day, the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. Samuel's belief in her abilities ignited a fire within her, stirring thoughts of how she could make an even bigger impact. They would host meetings, develop training materials, and create a platform for students to connect. With every step, she felt the heartbeat of her community resonating with hope. Days turned into weeks, and Avery worked tirelessly alongside Samuel, reaching out to local schools and organizations to gather support. But with every small victory came challenges that sometimes felt insurmountable. She faced skepticism from some who doubted the program's viability. Others were supportive, but the fear of rejection loomed large. One evening, after a particularly tough day of meetings, Avery returned home feeling defeated. Her mother noticed the furrow in her brow as she set her bag down. "What is wrong, honey?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. "I don't know if I can do this, Mom. There are too many hurdles, and sometimes I feel like I am just a kid playing at being a leader," Avery confessed, her voice trembling. "Every leader starts somewhere, Avery. What matters is your heart and your will to make a difference. Think of all the lives you've already touched," her mother replied, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "But what if I fail? What if it falls apart?" Avery's eyes glistened with tears. "Then you will learn, and you will rise again. Failure is not the end, it is part of the journey," her mother whispered softly. "Remember, you have already shown resilience. You've transformed your pain into purpose." Those words seeped into Avery's heart, reigniting her determination. "You're right. I can't let fear dictate my journey." She wiped her tears, feeling a renewed sense of clarity. "I'll keep pushing forward." With a fresh perspective, Avery dove back into her work. She organized workshops, rallied her peers, and created mentorship pairs. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Students began to embrace the program, recognizing the value of connection and support. Slowly, they started to build a foundation of kindness, fostering an environment where everyone felt valued. As the first mentoring session approached, Avery felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She had arranged for a guest speaker to talk about overcoming adversity and the importance of kindness. The day finally arrived, and students filled the auditorium, buzzing with anticipation. As she stood before them, the weight of her journey washed over her. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady but her heart racing. "This program is about more than just mentorship. It is about building a community that uplifts and supports one another." After the speaker shared their story, the room filled with energy. Students began to share their own experiences, weaving tales of struggle and triumph. Laughter mingled with tears, and in that moment, Avery realized the power of connection they were creating. She was no longer just a shy girl from Maplewood, she was a leader, paving the way for change. Weeks turned into months, and the mentorship program flourished. Bullying incidents decreased, friendships blossomed, and a culture of kindness took root. Avery found herself increasingly energized, fueled by the tangible difference they were making. She often reflected on her journey, recalling the days of isolation contrasted with the warmth of community she had helped to nurture. One sunny afternoon, as she prepared for another mentorship session, Avery received a message from Samuel. "Avery, I'd love to celebrate your success with a small gathering. You've done remarkable work." Her heart swelled with gratitude. She had transformed her struggles into something beautiful, and now she was ready to share that joy with those who had supported her. The gathering was filled with laughter, heartfelt stories, and a shared commitment to continue spreading kindness in Maplewood. As the sun set that evening, casting a soft glow over the room, Avery felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She was surrounded by friends, mentors, and those who had once been strangers, all united in their mission to uplift one another. In that moment, Avery understood the true beauty of the human spirit. It was resilient, capable of overcoming great odds, and powerful enough to create change. With every step she took, she realized that hope was not just a fleeting emotion, it was a choice, a commitment to a brighter future. As she stood there, with her community rallying around her, Avery knew she had unlocked something extraordinary within herself. And with the keys to Samuel's office still nestled in her pocket, she felt ready to open every door that lay ahead. The sun broke the horizon the next morning, painting Maplewood in hues of pink and gold. Avery woke up, the keys to Samuel D. and G. Lois' office glimmering on her bedside table. The previous evening's gathering echoed in her mind, as she recalled the laughter and the shared stories of triumph. Each voice had added another layer to her resolve. It was a reminder that together, they could mold a brighter future. Avery's phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. A message from Mia lit up the screen. "Can't you wait for today's session? Ready to inspire some younger kids?" Avery smiled, her heart fluttering with excitement. The mentorship program had become a source of joy, not just for the students she guided, but for herself as well. After breakfast, Avery prepared for the session, her mind racing with ideas. She wanted to create an atmosphere where vulnerability was encouraged, a space where every student felt safe to express their fears and aspirations. As she gathered her materials, she took a moment to breathe deep and remind herself of her mission to foster connections and support. Arriving at the school, Avery found the auditorium already buzzing with energy. She saw the younger students milling about, their faces a mix of curiosity and nervousness. She approached a group of fifth graders who were whispering to each other. "Hey there, are you excited for today?" Avery asked, her voice light and welcoming. One girl, with bright pink glasses, nodded eagerly. "We heard you were going to tell us how to be brave and help others." Avery felt a wave of warmth wash over her. "That is right. Today is all about sharing stories and learning from each other. We're in this together." As the session commenced, Avery felt a rush of adrenaline. She welcomed everyone, sharing her own journey, the bullying, the struggles, and the triumph of the community fair. "I want you all to know that it is okay to feel scared sometimes," she said, her voice steady. "But we can use that fear to fuel our courage to help others." The younger students listened intently, their eyes wide. Avery encouraged them to share their experiences, and one boy named Lucas raised his hand. "I sometimes feel left out during recess," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "That is a tough feeling, Lucas, but remember, you have the power to change that," Avery replied empathetically. "Have you thought about inviting others to play with you? Sometimes people just need a little push to feel included." Lucas nodded, a newfound spark igniting in his eyes. "I'll try that, thanks, Avery." As the session continued, the stories flowed freely. Students spoke of their fears, their dreams, and how they hoped to support one another. Avery felt a connection blossoming, a beautiful tapestry of shared humanity. It was uplifting, and yet, in the back of her mind, she felt flickers of doubt creeping back in. Would these conversations lead to lasting change? After the session, as students filtered out, she caught sight of Mia approaching. "You were incredible today," Mia exclaimed, her eyes shining. "I can't believe how brave those kids were to share their feelings." "Thanks, Mia. It felt amazing to connect with them," Avery said, her heart still racing. "But I just hope they actually take what we talked about to heart. I want this to make a difference." "It will," Mia reassured her. "You be planting seeds. Sometimes it takes time for them to grow." Those words resonated with Avery. As days turned into weeks, she dedicated herself to nurturing the mentoring program. With Samuel's guidance, she expanded the curriculum, incorporating workshops that emphasized empathy, resilience, and the importance of kindness. She reached out to local organizations for support, and many were eager to help. However, the path wasn't easy without obstacles. During one meeting, a school administrator raised concerns. Avery, while your intentions are noble, we need to ensure this program doesn't become just another activity that fades away. What is your long-term plan? Avery's heart sank momentarily. I want this to be a foundation for our community, she stammered, feeling the weight of her vision. But I know it's going to take commitment from everyone involved. He crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. Commitment is key, but talk is cheap. We need measurable results. As the meeting adjourned, Avery felt a mix of frustration and fear. She didn't want to let the program down, nor did she want to let her community down. When she got home, she confided in her mother about the challenges she faced. "Mom, I feel like I am not doing enough. What if this all falls apart?" Avery's voice trembled as she spoke. Her mother looked at her with unwavering support. "Avery, remember that change takes time. You've already done so much, and it's okay to feel vulnerable. Reach out for help when you need it. You're not alone." Her mother's words ignited a spark of resilience in Avery. She picked up her phone and texted Samuel, sharing her concerns. Within minutes, he replied, "Let us meet and we can strategize together. You are doing amazing work and I believe in you." The next day, as she entered Samuel's office, she felt the familiar blend of excitement and anxiety. "Have you been struggling with the program's sustainability?" she confessed, her voice shaky. "I want it to last beyond just this year." Samuel nodded, his expression understanding. "Let us brainstorm some initiatives that can secure its longevity. What about a community service project that involves students?" Avery's eyes lit up. "That could work if we can tie the mentoring program to community service. It would create a sense of purpose and responsibility." "Exactly. Let us work on a project that allows students to engage directly with the community," he encouraged. "And you can involve local businesses as well." With renewed enthusiasm, they dove into brainstorming. Soon, they had a plan, a community cleanup event that would not only beautify Maplewood but also foster teamwork and connection among students. As they discussed logistics, a sense of excitement bubbled within Avery. By the time she left, she felt invigorated. She reached out to her peers, forming teams for the project, and together they spread the word across the school. As the day of the cleanup approached, anticipation built. Students rallied, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. On the morning of the event, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over Maplewood. Avery stood at the park, surrounded by her classmates, mentors, and younger students ready to make a difference. The energy was palpable, and with every smiling face, Avery felt a surge of hope. "Thank you all for being here today," she called out, her voice ringing through the park. "Today, we were not just cleaning up, we were showing that we care about our community and each other." As they worked side by side, laughter filled the air. Avery noticed Lucas, who had confided in her weeks ago, enthusiastically chatting with a group of older students. "Look, he is making friends," she whispered to Mia, who stood beside her, beaming. After hours of hard work, the park transformed into a clean and vibrant space, echoing the laughter of children playing and families enjoying the sunshine. As they gathered for a group photo, Avery felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. They had come together not just as students, but as a community united in kindness. Later that day, as she packed up and headed home, her heart swelled with gratitude. She had faced challenges, but with her community as support, she had transformed her fears into a journey of empowerment. The keys to Samuel's office jangled in her pocket, a reminder of the doors she could still open. Weeks turned into months, and the mentorship program continued to flourish. Avery felt the deep sense of purpose guiding her every step. Each time she walked through the school halls, she was greeted with smiles and waves from students she had touched. The bullies who once haunted her began to fade into her past, overshadowed by the love and support she had cultivated. One rainy evening, as Avery sat on her bed reflecting on her journey, her phone buzzed with another message from Samuel. "Avery, I'd love for you to join me at an upcoming Community Leaders Forum. Your insights would be invaluable." Her heart raced with excitement and a touch of anxiety. This was another opportunity to share her story and advocate for her community on a larger scale. "I'd be honored," she replied, her fingers trembling slightly as she typed. As the date of the forum arrived, Avery stood before a room filled with influential community members. She felt a surge of nerves, but as she took a deep breath, she remembered the voices of the students who had inspired her. I am here to share the importance of nurturing kindness and resilience in our schools, she began, her voice steady. Through our mentorship program, we recreated a space for students to find their voices and support one another. Together, we can combat bullying and foster a culture of empathy in our community. The audience listened intently as she shared her journey, her struggles, and the impact of their collective efforts. The powerful connections she had built lit her words with passion. Let us work together to ensure that every child feels valued and seen, not just in our schools but in our community, she concluded, her heart racing. As she stepped off the stage, the applause echoed in her ears. Avery sat in the back of her classroom, her heart still racing from the exhilarating experience of speaking at the Community Leaders Forum. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, but as the days passed, the initial thrill faded into introspection. She had shared her story, but now she found herself grappling with an array of emotions, a blend of excitement, fear, and the nagging question of whether she could truly make a difference. Hey, Earth to Avery. Mia waved a hand in front of her face, pulling her from her thoughts. You okay? Oh, sorry, Mia just thinking, Avery replied, forcing a smile. Thinking about the forum? Mia asked, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. Yeah, I just keep wondering if I really made an impact. I mean, what if people didn't take me seriously? Avery sighed, her fingers nervously tracing the spine of her notebook. Mia leaned closer, her expression earnest. You did amazing. People need to hear your story. You rechanging lives, Avery. Thanks. I just wish I could reach more people, Avery admitted, glancing out the window. A light drizzle began to fall, the droplets streaming down the glass like tears, mirroring her uncertainty. What if I can keep this momentum going? What if it all fades away? Avery, Mia said, a calmness in her voice. Every journey has its ups and downs, but you've built something incredible with this program. Just keep planting seeds. Change takes time. Those words resonated deeply. Avery realized she had been so focused on the larger picture that she often overlooked the small victories along the way. The mentorship program was growing, and lives were changing, even if it was one child at a time. After school, Avery sat down at her desk, a sense of renewed determination flooding her. She picked up her pen and began drafting a newsletter for the mentorship program, highlighting the achievements of the students involved. She wanted to celebrate their progress and remind them that they were all part of something bigger than themselves. She wrote about Lucas, who had made new friends through their efforts, and the shy girls who had begun to speak up during meetings. Each story reminded her of the impact she was striving to create. The rain continued to patter against the window as she worked late into the night. She felt a swell of pride with each paragraph she crafted, and by the time she hit send, it felt like a weight had lifted off her shoulders. The next morning, she received a response from one of the younger students, a girl named Sophie, who had expressed her happiness about the program. Dear Avery, I just wanted to say thank you for helping us. I used to be shy, but now I feel brave when I talk to my friends. I hope you keep doing this forever. Sophie. Avery's heart soared as she read the message. This was why she fought through the self-doubt and struggled to keep the program alive. Each child's voice mattered. She quickly typed a response, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Dear Sophie, thank you for your sweet message. I am so proud of you for being brave and sharing your voice. Remember, you are strong, and together we can support each other. Avery. As she pressed send, a smile broke across her face. She felt the warmth of connection, the kind that fueled her spirit to keep going. Weeks rolled by, and the mentorship program continued to flourish, with new students joining in and older kids stepping up to mentor. Avery felt a sense of fulfillment as she walked through the halls of Maplewood High. Students greeted her with smiles, and she reveled in the camaraderie that had blossomed. But just as things were falling into place, challenges arose. One afternoon, Avery received an email requesting a meeting with the school board. Her heart sank as she read it. She knew that the board had discussed budget cuts, and there was a looming fear that her program might be at risk. Avery, what is wrong? Mia asked, noticing her sudden change in demeanor. I got called for a meeting with the school board, she replied, trying to swallow the lump forming in her throat. I am scared they'll cut our funding. Mia's expression turned serious. We can't let that happen. You've worked too hard for this. We need to prepare. What can we do? Avery took a deep breath, feeling the urgency of the moment. We can gather testimonials from the students and parents, show them the impact we're making. It is not just about the funding, it is about the lives we're changing. Let us do it, Mia replied, her voice filled with resolve. Together, they sprang into action, reaching out to parents and students to gather their stories. Avery crafted a presentation highlighting not just the numbers but the heart of the program, the connections, and the community built around kindness. She poured her soul into each slide, determined to convey the significance of their work. The day of the meeting arrived, and Avery felt a whirlwind of emotions. She stood in front of a long table filled with members of the school board, her palms sweaty and her heart pounding. "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today," she began, her voice quivering slightly. "I am here to share the impact of the mentorship program we've built together." As she spoke, she saw nods of understanding from some board members. She shared testimonials from Sophie, Lucas, and others, each story a testament to resilience and growth. It was an emotional moment, and she felt the weight of their experiences resonate throughout the room. "Bullying and isolation have no place in our schools," Avery continued, her voice growing stronger. "But through this program, we've created a culture of kindness, teamwork, and support. We've shown that every student matters." As she concluded, silence enveloped the room. Avery held her breath, waiting for the board to respond. "Thank you, Avery," the head of the board finally spoke. "We appreciate your passion. We'll discuss this further and follow up with our recommendations." Walking out of the meeting, a mix of anxiety and hope swelled within her. "How do you think it went?" May asked, joining her outside. "I am not sure," Avery replied, biting her lip. "I just hope they see the value in what we're doing." A few days later, Avery received an email from the board. Her heart raced as she opened it, and she could hardly believe her eyes. Funding was approved. The board recognized the program's impact and was willing to support its growth for the upcoming year. "Avery, we did it!" Miss shrieked as she read the email over Avery's shoulder. Tears of joy filled Avery's eyes. "We did it together," she whispered, overwhelmed with gratitude. "This is a testament to the power of community." As the months passed, the mentorship program evolved into a pillar of Maplewood High. Avery was invited to speak at various community events, sharing her journey and inspiring others to foster kindness. She often felt the familiar flutter of nerves before each speech, but she learned to embrace them, channeling that nervous energy into her passion for making a difference. One evening, as she prepared for another speaking engagement, she found herself reflecting on how far she had come. The girl who once hid in a library, battling the pain of bullying, had transformed into a confident leader. It was a journey of resilience, and she had learned to harness her struggles and turn them into strength. Later that week, she stood on stage at a local community center, addressing a crowd eager to hear her story. "Thank you for having me here tonight," she began, her heart racing with anticipation. "I want to share how we can all make a difference in our communities, no matter how small our actions may seem." As she spoke, she noticed the captivated faces in the audience, each reflecting a glimmer of hope. Avery shared the stories of her peers, emphasizing that every voice mattered, and every act of kindness had the power to change the world around us. The applause at the end resonated through her, but the true reward lay in the connections she had fostered. After the event, attendees approached her with heartfelt stories of their own struggles and triumphs. Every new conversation reignited her passion, fueling her to continue the work she had started. Months turned into a year, and Avery felt a sense of renewal wash over her. The mentorship program had become a cornerstone of Maplewood High, with a network of students supporting one another, driven by the same spirit of resilience that had once driven her. One sunny afternoon, as she strolled through the park, she spotted Lucas playing soccer with friends, laughter ringing out like music. She smiled, taking in the sense of community that had blossomed from her journey. The keys to Samuel D. Angelo's office remained a symbol of possibility, but they were also a reminder of her own strength. A few weeks later, she received an invitation to attend the annual Maplewood Community Awards, celebrating individuals who had significantly impacted the town. As she entered the venue, she felt a sense of pride swell within her. The room was filled with familiar faces, all united by shared mission of kindness. When the time came for the awards presentation, Avery's heart raced. "And the award for community impact goes to Avery Larson," the announcer declared, and the room erupted in applause. Avery stood frozen for a moment, disbelief washing over her. As she made her